You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook has made it easier than ever to get in on the action during an NBA playoff game, even after tip-off. Just look for the live SGP tab on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and build your bet slip. Then sit back, relax, and track the outcome of your parlay right in the app. And if you don't already have it, download the FanDuel app today to make every moment more. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Real ones, what's going on? We have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about Cooper Flagg, conspiracy theories, Jayson Tatum's injury, and Mailbag next. What's poppin'? Real ones. Logan Murdoch here, Raja Bell there, Howard Beck in the motherfucking cup, Victoria on the video, Cliff on the boards. Very interesting night of NBA action and news. You know, there's on one hand, there's the Tatum news, which we're going to get to in a bit. There is the Dallas news, which was wild. The Knicks are somehow like finals contenders now. Let's start with the NBA lottery. The Dallas Mavericks, who apparently Raja had on his bingo card to get the #1 pick. I don't know if he was lying or if he's telling the truth here. Raja, what were your thoughts on that Cooper Flagg going to Dallas?
I don't have any real thoughts. I definitely said if my wife's running around here somewhere right now, yeah, you can ask
who's going to vouch for you and these lies?
At least 4 people were sitting there with me when I said Dallas is 100% getting the #1 pick. And it wasn't any, I just had that feeling. It wasn't I'm not a conspiracy theorist by nature or anything like that. I just had a gut that was going to happen. And you know why? Because in Nico, we trust. Because in Nico, this was the plan the whole time, bro. Like, y'all just got to let somebody's plan come to fruition. See, that's what we do. We jump to these conclusions. Like, we're halfway home and trying to figure out whether the ride was a good ride or not. Sometimes you got to take the whole damn ride before you can say whether it was a good ride or not.
Wow. Our third eyes just ain't open, huh, Howard? Right?
You know
We're just
what I mean?
not really locked in. Our chakras aren't aligned. We are not here.
I know. No, all jokes aside. I did think they were going to get it. I don't know. I just had a gut with that. And if you ask me like my true reaction, I think it's a great fit for Cooper Flagg. And people are going to say, oh, shit, yeah. I mean, you know, most time #1 picks are going to franchises that aren't ready to win games and so on and so forth. And I think uniquely him as a first pick is going to need the support. He's not your typical give him the ball and he's going to get you 30 and pull this franchise out of like, you know, oblivion type of player. He is a winning player at the highest level that will need help to do that. And so I think that specifically for him, Dallas being the pick getting the pick was an awesome thing for his career.
I want to stay with Roger real quick. Top of mind right now, me and Cliff were talking about this pre-pod. Guys that are top picks going to a ready-made contender, right? Or at least a roster that is trying to contend for winning. We know Nico Harrison for, you know, every decision that he has made is allegedly trying to win, you know? And with this type of pick,
Allegedly.
I don't up until now.
I mean,
a
little ambiguous.
That's what he says.
Right.
But I was talking to Cliff about this pre-pod about guys that are put into a system so young, right, and that are top flight picks going into these types of situations. I think about Tim Duncan, right? I think about Andrew Wiggins, although he was traded away. For the reason I'm about to ask you, but like, how do you integrate a young player? And we talk about this all the time, Raja, guys that have to figure out the league and figure out how to win at this level and figure out just the game switch in general. How does Cooper Flagg do that into this roster who he is going to play alongside Anthony Davis, but Kyrie Irving's probably not going to come back until some people estimate January, but I think it could be a little bit later than that. how does he find his game alongside everyone else and keep that team in contention the way Nico Harrison says he wants it to be?
Well, I mean, I don't know that he keeps them in contention right away the way Nico Harrison wants him to be in contention. Like, he's not going to fill the Kyrie void. Kyrie's a huge, a lot of this is going to depend on what they do to offset, Kyrie's absence until whenever he's healthy again, because he's the playmaker, the guy that kind of stirs the drink offensively. And that's not what Cooper's going to be right away. So to answer your question, I think, a lot of times it's not unlike young quarterbacks in the NFL or young pitchers probably in MLB, just young players in general. Pressure too early can have real negative ramifications down the road, right? And so there is a certain amount of pressure that just comes with being the pick and having the opportunity to play, but you don't want to put the weight of a franchise on someone's shoulder that is as young as our number one picks are. I mean, all of these guys are 1-year college kids, right? Cooper reclassed up to get out, so he's a real baby. Like, you don't want him to have to go somewhere and say, "Hey, man, you do all the interviews, you take all the shots, you answer all the questions when we win and when we lose." You protect them from that, right? So that pressure's not on him. And having AD, the roster that they have, Kyrie when he's healthy, will not only protect him from the media and the circus that can become, but also protect his game in a way that he can really develop into the true player that he's supposed to be. Not everyone develops into a 30-a-night guy. Not every, some people, whether we like it or not, number one picks might not develop. They might develop into, just phenomenal, glue guys that are high level, 20, 22 a game, 8 boards, 4 assists. Like, when you watched him play at Duke, he fills up a stat sheet as well as anyone, in college basketball. So maybe he develops into that type of NBA player at its highest level, but having people around you that can carry the weight allows him to do so. And so I think that's for any young player in any real sport. If you have the opportunity to protect them and bring them along, at a pace that you can monitor and you can then decide when they're ready to take on that weight, I think that's the appropriate way to attack that.
Howard, the one of the bigger things that came out of this was the video of Nico Harrison's reaction to this pick, right? It seemed like a sigh of relief. Seemed like a guy that is just living a life of roller coasters, over the last few months, and we've been living this with him. Where do you think that what does this pick do for his future? And what does he need to do with this second wind that he has had in the last few hours and last few days? What do you want to see from him? What does he need to do going forward?
It's so fascinating, right? Because there's a case to be made here that for anybody who believes in karma, basketball gods, any of this stuff, that shit just got shattered. Because, apologies to Raja, anybody who saw what happened over the last few months, the way that Mavs fans had their hearts ripped out, the way that this entire thing was handled, the messaging, the deal itself, the weird negotiation, all of it. The Mavericks, as an organization, deserved to suffer. Their fans don't, but the organization deserved to suffer, and they just got this massive lifeline thrown to them. And just by the luck of the lottery balls. And yes, folks, it's just luck. It's not anything else. Shut up. So that this massive lifeline, Patrick Dumont, off the hook for now. Nico Harrison, off the hook for now. Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, once he gets healthy, you've now got either a stellar young stud to help bring along and also to help you in the twilights of your respective injury-marred careers. Or who knows, they could flip him. Where it comes down on the Nico part of this is, okay, you got this lifeline. What are you going to do with it? Because you inherited a franchise that had a generational superstar and you traded him away for a sack of beans. And now you've got an opportunity to get either a very highly regarded young stud in Cooper Flagg, or you could trade him. You now have to figure out what the best fit is, either with him and an aging Kyrie and AD. Kyrie, who may not play until whatever, January, February, if he plays next season at all. Are you on a 2 timeline thing? Is this the Warriors all over again with 2 timelines where you're trying to contend in the present, but Cooper Flagg is the future? Who are you building around? Nico said after he made the trade, well, we've got like a 3 to 5 year window, and then Jayson and I might be fired by then anyway. He said that. I don't know why he said that, but he said that. Well, that was the realistic window, was like, you've got a few years with Kyrie and AD in their early to mid 30s, and then it's time for a new era. So what is the priority now? Is it to do everything possible to try to contend for championships with those 2 as your centerpieces? Or is it about a future revolving around Cooper Flagg? Or are you trying to split the difference? Like, that's a really fascinating conversation. And I think they have to at least have the conversation too internally of, not saying they should trade the pick, not saying they will, but do they at least have the conversation of, hey, if we put the number 1 pick out there, what could we get? Maybe make a better trade this time and get actual value back. You
could get Luka back.
And yeah, exactly. Like, what could that pick net you that might be more conducive to the near timeline, which is the Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis timeline?
Well, there's somebody right now, Howard, that is behind the scenes pump faking that, maybe I might be ready to leave Milwaukee. Maybe I might be ready to trade for Roger shaking his head. What, you would trade Cooper Flagg for Giannis Antetokounmpo?
I mean, in a vacuum, I would, but I don't think he's good with Anthony Davis, so I wouldn't do that if I was.
I just feel like it's okay. I just feel like Nico, if his whole deal is just accumulating assets, right? Like, he's just accumulating people, defensive-minded people. Giannis is a defensive-minded guy. He's a superstar, former Nike guy. It doesn't matter the fit, Raja. It just matters what Nico's going to do, and he's very clearly proven that he will do anything to literally anything in his mind to improve a roster.
I want to argue the basketball gods thing. I think that's interesting. Like, what if the basketball gods did smile on a fan base that felt like, they had lost their savior and it was somebody swooped in and stole them in the middle of the night? What if that was a reward for that? What if the basketball gods? Yeah. What if the basketball gods swooped in and rewarded someone for like having clarity of vision and what they see a team being,
Ooh.
and sticking to his guns regardless of what all these talking heads are talking about? What if that was that? What if they swooped in and said, "Here you go, Nico"? I don't know.
Counterpoint. Light shines on a dog's ass every once in a while, right?
Raja missed his calling as a White House press secretary. That was some phenomenal spin right there. That was some great gaslighting.
Wait, Howard, while we have you right here, could you just you basically eviscerated Cliff pre-pod. Can you just tell people why their conspiracy theories are dumb?
I missed that?
Yeah, you missed it. That's what you get for being 6 minutes late. Howard, how does he
Can we let's back up on the verbiage there? I did not eviscerate Cliff. I might have lectured Cliff. I might have been emphatically speaking to Cliff about this idea.
Oh God! But spare me.
I love Cliff.
Me. Can you? We all love Cliff. We also get on Cliff's head, and like that's just what happened. Can you? The point is, you're pushing away from the subject I'm trying to get to, Howard. Can you tell people why they're full of shit for thinking there is a conspiracy? People like Raja, people like Cliff, who think this is a conspiracy.
Well, how am I catching strays? I literally said I don't think there's a conspiracy.
I can't believe you're going to make me do this again.
Go ahead.
No, listen, it's out there everywhere. I know, like, that's people's gut reaction, especially when a team has like a 1.8% chance or whatever leaps up, and especially given the circumstances of the Mavericks. Like, I get it. I understand why people's brains go this way. It is kind of a human reaction. But it's like, it's like your most primitive human reaction, people. Like, sit back, take a deep breath, and think about this. For the NBA to rig the lottery, and I've been in the room, we can get to that in a minute. I've been in the room before, I was not there last night.
Subtle flex.
But for the Zach Lowe was there last night in the room, and his podcast, which should be out by the time this pod's out, he'll be Zach does such a phenomenal job of storytelling, like from the room. So make sure to tune into that. Forget for a moment whether or not you quote unquote could rig it logistically, right? Just think about the concept of this for a minute and why this is fucking ludicrous, batshit crazy stuff. For the NBA to rig the lottery, first of all, who's the NBA? Is it Adam Silver and the people at Olympic Tower in Manhattan? Or is it the 30 owners who all spent billions to own these teams? Because you're not just perpetrating a fraud on the public, you're perpetrating a fraud on your actual business partners, on the owners themselves. And now 29 of them are okay with a fraud that benefits one of them, the team that they were all just laughing at 5 minutes ago for trading away their franchise star, and they're going to reward him. They're all going to agree to this. And if it's not involving all those owners and it's just the league office, then the league office is perpetrating a fraud. By the way, multiple felonies involved here, I'm sure. Perpetrating a fraud on the 30 owners, the people who employ Adam Silver. Like, how does any of this make a lick of fucking sense? And then when it comes to the room itself, which again, yes, Logan, I've been in the room. So there's a bunch of media members in there for us to be there as neutral observers to watch this. There's a whole process you can see, but it's presided over and administered by representatives of Ernst & Young, this worldwide, global consulting and finance firm. Like they do a lot of different things. They're highly respected. So now is Ernst & Young, are they complicit in it? Or are they the ones who are actually doing the rigging? Like, how does this make any sense? There's NBA security in there, of course. There's the representatives of all 14 lottery teams. So now if being in the room meant you could see it and then you all had to keep it a secret, great conspiracy, like throw like 36 people in a room and ask them all to keep the same secret. Now you've got representatives of the teams that are losing the lottery agreeing to cover up the manufactured results that are benefiting, again, the team that they were all making fun of 5 minutes ago for trading away Luka. None of this makes a lick of sense. It's not the way it happens. I get that people are puzzled, perplexed, annoyed, weirded out by it. Shit happens. It's a lottery for a reason. There's a bunch of ping pong balls in a hopper. They got to come out and there's like 1,000 different number combinations. You can see it all. I think it's on YouTube now. They post it after the fact. It's not rigged. Just stop. It's annoying.
I mean, or it's the basketball gods, man.
Wow. Yeah.
I want to say, Raja, just to reemphasize, the basketball gods shining on Mavericks fans, I'm with. They've suffered enough. They did not deserve to have their hearts ripped out by your buddy Nico Harrison.
By your mans.
but it's rewarding the fans. It's like the idea that it's rewarding Mavericks management after making a catastrophic trade. I can't quite embrace.
Very eloquent crash out by Howard Beck, ladies and gentlemen. Great job. One of the interesting things though about this lottery, right, is the fact that all the teams that went to go tank were not rewarded for it, right? Quite frankly, with the number one pick, you talk about the Sixers. I mean, happy for Cliff, who got his third pick and got to keep his pick. He's very, very excited about that, right? But I think about a team like the Utah Jazz, who in the final night of the season saw that the Washington Wizards had won a game and therefore put themselves a half game up or back or something like that in the standings in terms of draft considerations, and then bench their starters to lose the game, right, to improve their odds. They were not rewarded for that. Neither were the Hornets, who were just terrible all season long. Howard, do you think, in some twisted way, I'm thinking about the basketball gods here, do you think that these reforms actually, is this a victory for the reforms that we actually have a team that, for whatever you want to say about Nico Harrison, he's trying, right? Or the team is actually trying to make the playoffs, get a pick like this? Is it some twisted way this help the argument for the reforms that have been put in place years ago?
Yeah, absolutely, positively it does. The first year the reforms were in place, I'm trying to remember, I think it was like the Knicks, the Cavaliers, and somebody else who were top 3, and I think all 3 got dislodged, and then the Pelicans leapt up from whatever 9th or 10th to get Zion. And immediately it was like, yeah, this is the point of the exercise. This is why you do lottery reform. The point is to try to, if not to dissuade teams from tanking, at least remove the incentive to tank. And if you see year after year after year, teams who had one of the 3 worst records, who then have a mere 14% chance to win it all. So 86% chance that you're not getting number 1. If you see that and you see it play out year after year where teams that were seemingly positioned to get to the top of the draft are falling, maybe it makes you think twice about tanking. Unfortunately, like that hasn't been the case, right? Teams are still like, yeah, you know what? I got nothing going anyway. We're in a teardown. Our team is a disaster. Our fans are already pissed off. I might as well lean into it. 14% chance is still better than 8 or 6 or 2, although apparently 1.8 is enough. So it's theoretically going to give teams pause about tanking because there's not an obvious payoff. And this year's another good example that it can backfire on your ass. I think people should broadly be happy about that. It's funny though to watch this. If you dial back 10 years, everybody, and by everybody, it was like the public, the media, us, all of us, all the hand-wringing about tanking and the process and the Sixers and all of this was, well, the league can't do this. You can't just manipulate your way to a top pick. This is bad for the league. You shouldn't be incentivized to lose. So the league addressed it. They reformed the lottery. They changed the odds. And now that we have these new odds where teams that are terrible are falling to the middle of the pack, and Washington ends up 6th and Utah ends up 5th. And now it's like hand-wringing over, oh, well, how are they supposed to get better? Well, this was the point. The whole point was you're not supposed to be able to game the system. And we just saw that vividly again last night. Tough shit, Washington and Utah. You got to find another way.
Are you happy with that? Did the basketball gods do good on this, Raja? Since you're in constant communication with them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have offended sometimes. But I try to be on the right side of them. But yeah, I agree with Howard on that. Like, that's what it's in place for. I don't know that you'll ever get rid of teams, doing whatever they can to get their 14 point whatever % chance. But like, I like the fact that it's not an automatic. You get the number 1 pick, so I'm good with that.
The Ringer NBA show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are finally here, and there's no better way to be a part of the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. After another competitive season, the top teams are ready to battle their way through the playoff bracket in hopes of taking home the championship. And if you think you know how it's all going to go down, then make those predictions pay off with FanDuel and NBA Profit Boost. Simply make your bet, activate your boost, and then go for even bigger winnings. Let's take a look at the slate. We have Pacers, Cavs. I'm going to take the Cavs in this one to extend the series. Yes, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to take the over on Darius Garland points, rebounds, and assists. And Nuggets Thunder, I'm going to take the Thunder. And I'm going to take the under on points, rebounds, and assists for Nikola Jokic. And I'm going to take the over on SGA points, rebounds, and assists. Don't just be a spectator this postseason. Head to FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to download America's #1 sportsbook and make every moment more. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable playoff boost tokens. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. All right. Let's talk about something we're not good with. We've been pushing this far into the episode. Just coping. Jayson Tatum, guys. You see Roger's face. His tears are coming down his eyes right now. He's really sad. Howard, I feel like we're in mourning right now. I was watching this at Chase Center last night. It was a great game, by the way. Knicks Celtics, we'll probably get to that in a minute, and Tatum was fantastic. And it just seemed, you knew something was wrong the way he went down. And we haven't gotten the official news, but we all know what it is. Like, let's be real. It's sad because, Tatum is 28, 27, something like that. Theoretically has so much of his career ahead of him. And then on top of that, you think about the Celtics, who are was already going into an uncertain offseason, whether they were going to break the bread to be able to pay for this roster. And now this injury puts their whole shit in flux. First of all, Howard and Raja, how did you feel when you saw it? What were the immediate things that came to your mind? I'll start with Howard. And where do the Celtics go from here?
Man, we all know because, Raja, you've been in the game a long time, and Logan, I've been watching the game a long time. Like, everybody who's a basketball fan knows a guy goes down on a non-contact injury, the way he went down and immediately grabbing at that part of your leg, you're immediately thinking Achilles, and your heart sinks. Like, just awful. And he was having a fucking awesome game besides. Like, he was like, I know they still had a hole to climb out of once again at that point, but, potentially one of those career defining moments where if he had led them back, tied up the series with just a dominant performance, then we'd be talking about that game for a long time. And so instead to go down with the with the injury that would appear to be an Achilles, we'll find out maybe even while we're still recording here. But it's awful. It's awful first and foremost for Jayson Tatum, for his career and just for him individually. It's heartbreaking. That was the other thing that really struck me, guys. Like, whatever the injury turns out to be, he knew it was bad immediately. You saw it in his face, in the emotions, whether it was literally just pain or just the emotional pain and the realization that, like, this is it. I'm done. Like, I'm done for this series and this postseason probably. And if it's an Achilles, it's a long road back. It's too soon to start talking about what happens next for him physically, but like, Kevin Durant was much older when he tore his Achilles, and Kevin Durant has had the best comeback from an Achilles we've seen in the history of the game at a much later stage of his career. So I think that bodes well for Tatum if it's an Achilles. And I hate to assume it, but like it just looks and feels like that's what it's going to be. And then the Celtics, like Logan, you noted it, like, Bobby Marks has said, our friend over at ESPN, like they're on pace for, I think, like a $500 million payroll, and payroll plus luxury taxes, and then the second apron stuff and all the limitations that puts on a team. You've got an ownership change coming where the Celtics going to be committed to this group long-term anyway, given all of the consequences of that. I think if they won a championship, it's almost like you're obligated to run it back no matter what it costs you and no matter what the second apron implications are. But if you're not winning a championship, everything's back on the table. And you also have the short-term fact of, well, if Tatum is going to miss at least a season, Brown, if before we were thinking about, well, maybe we have to peel off a Derek White or a Drew Holiday. Well, now you need them both. Now you need everybody. But you still have a payroll issue to deal with. And because of the second apron and repeater tax issues, it's harder to add talent. So you can't even it'll be really hard just to pick up a minimum salaried guy just to backfill if you have any more injuries. So they're in a really, really, really tough spot if this is as bad as we all believe it's probably going.
From a human element, though, Raja, as a hooper to hooper, what did you feel when you saw? Because everybody that I've talked to that have torn their Achilles, it's not a pain necessarily thing. It's more of a realization when you tear it because your shit goes numb. You're just on the floor. Like, we've seen people who tear their Achilles. Dame this season. I was in the building when Durant tore his. There was just a realization they're just on the floor. It felt like Tatum in the moment knew what it was, and that elicited the emotional reaction of of the mountain he has to climb. But hooper to hooper, what did you think of when you saw what happened to him?
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be very honest with you. I was sitting there with Ty and my wife, and we were watching, and when the play happens, you see the turnover and then the ball starts going the other way, right?
Yeah.
So then you get the dunk, and then they pan back to Jayson Tatum, and he's writhing in pain or would appear to be. And so our first reaction, or my first reaction, is what it always is when I see someone doing that. Is look, what the fuck, man? It can't be that bad. Because that's a rule in our house. You can like it or you don't have to, but I don't want. It's just I don't like the kids doing that. Get your ass up, let's go, man. Hobble off to the side. We'll figure it out. That's just our thing. But then I saw something in his palms in his face, and I was like, let me rewind this real quick before they even. I took it back, And as soon as I saw the move, when he took the negative step to go forward, my heart just sunk. I was like, oh shit, he just potentially tore that Achilles. And, you know, then it did dawn on me that reaction was probably less about, you know, pain and more about just your you know, basketball mortality flashing before your eyes. And that's what happens when you have an injury like that. Whether or not Kevin Durant has come back from it, you know, miraculously or not, when you sustain an injury like that, everything flashes before your eyes. Like the first thought isn't, oh, I'll be back from this in a year and a half. No. That's not what goes through your mind. And so, you know, as a hooper, I felt awful for him, just as not just a hooper, man, from anybody, you know, playing sports and stuff like that. Those Achilles, while I tend to agree with Howard, much younger than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, very, very similar in terms of, you know, what they kind of want to do. Like his game isn't predicated on explosion and he's kind of a glider. He's long, he's athletic, but it's not like it's a ferocious like Ja Morant or Derrick Rose type of like pop to his game. So those type of guys, I think, would have a much better chance of coming back and being exactly what they were. But nothing is guaranteed when you're trying to recover from injury. Like nothing's guaranteed, and so for all of those reasons, your heart broke. You know, for him, for the Celtics, it was just terrible.
And also like in rehab, it's not about just the injury recovery; it's the mental stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I think about even with Clay and KD, you go to dark places, right? Like when you're alone and you get the game taken away from you, like. And I think that not only did Tatum, you know, I don't know him and stuff like that, but I can imagine, like, you see, like you said, you see your basketball mortality, but like you see, they were on a way to maybe they tied a series up. You know, they're still on a run.
Yeah,
you know,
no doubt.
You know,
they weren't going to tie it up.
They weren't going to tie it up. Okay. We'll talk about the Knicks in a second, the game itself. I'm just talking about what could go through his mind.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, like I'm cooking. We could, you know, still go on a run. We're still defending this title. There's so many ramifications to this, right? And it's just going to be tough to get back. And also, like Howard said, and we just alluded to, the Celtics could look completely different by the time he gets back.
They have to push pause. They have to push. No. This isn't a year. On their chances to win something, they push pause for 2 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not a year. It's not a year. A year is when he comes back. He's 2 years away from like that.
He's probably out all of next season. Like that's not even hyperbole. He could probably just erase all next season.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's the Achilles, right? Like
if it is,
we still need to at least kind of qualify that.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm thinking about all the other players that are here, and I promise we'll get to the Knicks at some point. Orange and blue skies, baby. We see you. Anyways. There's also the Howard, the Jaylen Brown of it all, right? Where he is this guy, even though that he has said publicly, like, I'm great being alongside Tatum, and I'm not trying to spark controversy. What I'm trying to say is he is now getting, in essence, a chance at what he has always said behind the scenes, which is now this is his team for, like Roger said, at least a year and a half, 2 years. How big of a step is this for him, and how big of an opportunity is it for him?
Huge. And yeah, I mean, you said it, Logan. Going back, I don't know, 3-4 years, there have always been like these rumblings, like, you know, again, the gossipy league. And it's not that people were trying to break up Brown and Tatum and all this stuff. It's like there was legitimately, you know, conversations happening. What's that?
Tension.
Yeah. I don't even want to say tension. There was a very strong, you would say it's a strong vibe, or that it was actually people heard things directly or indirectly from Jaylen Brown or his people about the fact that Jaylen Brown really saw himself as the kind of guy who could be a number one and not the co-star. And was that going to lead to an eventual move by him? Kind of like we saw when Kyrie decided, you know what, I'm tired of being LeBron's sidekick. Kyrie decided he wanted to go stake out his own territory in Boston. Didn't work out so well. But that happens sometimes. There's nothing wrong with it. This is not casting aspersions. The idea that Jaylen Brown might have wanted his own team and to see himself as a true number one is not crazy. When you have that kind of talent, like that's how you're supposed to see yourself. So there's no crime in that. But that had been a rumbling across the league for a while. It had kind of quieted down the last couple of years. Making the finals helps. Winning the championship helps. Not for nothing, he also was the finals MVP and the Eastern Conference finals MVP, which was then held against Tatum in a very strange way by some people, which I thought was stupid. But I think what it demonstrated was not only are both of these guys wired to be able to be very gracious co-stars with each other. This is not Shaq and Kobe. These guys, like Tatum and Brown, could and probably should be together for the rest of their careers, the rest of their primes. I think we're past whatever tension points there may or may not have been and the speculation around that. And now Brown has shown himself to be able to be effectively like the lead guy at the highest leverage points of the season, conference finals and finals. Now, that said, he had Tatum on the court with him to carry a lot of the load too. So it's a big difference when you don't have another star next to you. And tomorrow night's going to be the first day of how does the Celtics team look as a Jaylen Brown-centric operation, right? Because that's what it, again, assuming this injury is what we think it is, for the foreseeable future, their fate is tied to Jaylen Brown. And that does mean a higher usage rate. It does mean more responsibility. It does mean taking on more. And not just shooting and scoring, it also means playmaking and being a great leader. And that is absolutely clearly his role now in Tatum's absence. Look, we shouldn't write them off entirely. This is a defending champion that won in part because of their incredible talent and depth going all the way down to like 7th, 8th man, right? They now have Jaylen Brown plus all those guys still, right? I like the Knicks absolutely should and probably will win this series. But there's an opportunity here for Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, the rest of this group to write history in a different way. Let's see if it happens.
What intrigues you about that? The space that Jaylen is in right now, Raja?
Well, I mean, I look, everyone, not everyone, but when you are that good of a player, and I would put Jaylen Brown in that category, you will always harbor somewhere deep down in you the feeling, if you're not provided the opportunity, what if I had my own team? Like those thoughts, you can't help but have those thoughts, even if you are a gracious, teammate and you guys can share that spotlight, you and Jayson Tatum. There's always a piece of you, and probably with Jayson Tatum too. Like, this is our fate, and we love each other, and we're going to work together. But man, what if? What would it look like if it was my own? And we're about to find out for a little while. I think Jaylen Brown's awesome. I think he's fully capable. It is a very, very different animal when you are out there and the game plans are solely for you. Now, I know he's had stretches in his career, make no mistakes, where he was the focus of a game plan. But in most of those instances, you still had another game plan that had to deal with Jayson Tatum in that way, because both of them are so good, off the bounce and
never in a playoff context either. We both know there's a difference in that, right?
Yeah, they can really drill down on you in that way, especially in the playoffs. So, look, he's a fantastic player. I don't know that he will or won't, but I'm fascinated to see it because, make no mistakes, even if he is a great, teammate, like there's a part of him that has always wondered and probably would always wonder, like what it would look like if it was his.
Yeah. Now, Raja, last time we were on this program, you got up in here and said that the Knicks were cooked.
I did not say that.
And the Celtics can take control of the series, and you believe in the Celtics.
No, I did not. I definitely did not say that. What I did say was I was worried for the Knicks, and rightfully so, until Jayson Tatum got hot. And then he shot them right out of the game. Like I see everybody today talking about how great of a game he fucking had, and I feel terrible saying this because on the heels of the injury and everything like that, but I was saying it while it was happening. I almost put my little fingers out to tweet it. Like, he's going to shoot them out of the fucking game. This has just become him coming down the court, looking for Karl Anthony Towns in a pick and roll and shooting the fucking three. It shot him right out of the game. New York was in trouble. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the brilliant performance that was Jalen Brunson and his supporting cast, because they were awesome. They did everything they were supposed to do. They took it. But they were, for everything I said on the last pod, it was looking just like that. And then he got hot. And it was the worst thing that could have happened.
Howard, I mean, Raja said this in a chat. Raja's very he's participating a lot more in the group chats. It's definitely playoff time. I will say that. But Knicks to the finals. That's what Raja's saying right now. What do you think? What's up with how are the Knicks feeling? What is the vibes in New York? What's going on there? How do they feel about this team? And do you think that they really do have a very unlikely run in them? Because just like a month ago, we were like, there's no way that the Knicks are going to get this far. They're going to lose to the Celtics at some point, and that's going to be that.
I mean, a month ago, Knicks fans themselves were probably saying that. Like it was
Cliff,
always,
by the way, and Cliff too, by the way,
and Cliff. It's been a really weird, kind of just like the emotional journey for Knicks fans for New York over the last 12 months, because the team that went through the playoffs last spring was beloved, right? Gutty, resilient, gritty. A guy goes down, somebody else pops up and gets 20 points and 10 whatever. Like they just kept coming at you until they finally ran out of bodies and ran out of gas and lost Game 7 at home to the Pacers. And it was, man, if they had just had one more healthy body, they might have been in the conference finals against Boston. And then you lose a lot of that grit when Hartenstein leaves for Oklahoma, and you lose some of it when DiVincenzo gets thrown into the Randall trade for Cat. Cat's not exactly known as being Mr. Grit. Trade for Mikal Bridges, also not exactly Mr. Grit. And I think a lot of the season, Knicks fans were sitting there going like, yeah, this team is really good, but I don't see how we're getting past Boston. Like that was, everybody I knew who was a Knicks fan was like, I hope we can beat Boston. I'm not sure we can beat Boston. And I'm not sure I love this team quite as much as I love the one that went down to the playoffs last year, because those guys were a lot of fun. And suddenly, like, this team is embodying all that again. Like, we're never going to confuse Cat with, I don't know, Dennis Rodman or something. Like, when he's always going to be this highly skilled, scoring first, versatile big man who is not going to protect the rim. He's not going to block shots. He's not going to like throw his body in the way. But like, he's come up with some really big defensive moments in this playoff run. They look and are playing like and are resilient like last year's team again. And ton of credit to Brunson and Hart, who still set the tone for all that. To Tibbs, of course, because that's how he's built and the tone he sets. You still can't do it without some things going your way, but that's every team. Like, there's always going to be some luck. And if anybody's going to chalk this one up to just like, oh, well, the Celtics lost Tatum, like, they're probably going to win that game and go up 3-1 anyway. And like, yeah, could the Celtics at full strength have rattled off the next 3 wins and still won the series? Maybe. But whatever. Like, the injuries happen every postseason. The Knicks have earned this. That they're going to the conference finals almost certainly is, I think, beyond the dreams of most Knicks fans. Certainly as of a few weeks ago, a month ago, a couple months ago, they didn't think that this was going to happen. And then it's against a Pacers team, likely. Again, we don't want to write off the Cavs before it's time, but it's certainly looking like a Pacers-Knicks rematch, but this time in the conference finals. Like, and two teams that are just like that, that they're all grit. Like, I know the Pacers have this high-powered offense and everything, but like the Pacers are like, look at the way that team has been just like busting up the Cavs, and look at the swagger they play with, and look at like freaking Nesmith getting into guys and Mathurin like stirring it up. Like, this could be an incredible series. We're way ahead of ourselves now, but Knicks Pacers in the conference finals. We're going to get all the 90s throwbacks. We're going to get all the Spike Lee, Reggie Miller stuff.
Dude,
can't fucking wait. Can't fucking wait.
Grew up on Knicks Pacers in the playoffs, man. Like,
yes, baby. Yeah. Yo, man, also not for nothing, man, the Garden has been fucking electric. You got Timothy Chalamet, you got our friend Ben, you got fucking Tracy Morgan, we got Jordan Woods and Kylie Jenner being friends again. Let's fucking go, man. Let's go. Y'all don't get that. Y'all not in these fucking these streets. Yeah. But we got Cardi B and Stephon Diggs, bro. We got it's lit out in this motherfucker, bro. But let's go back to the on-court stuff, because the off-court stuff is great. But let's go back to the on-court stuff. Raja, what have you seen from the Knicks down the stretch? Because it really felt like in Game 4 they really controlled the game from the standpoint. You referenced Tatum before. I know that he shot them out of the game, but it also felt like the Knicks were in control of this game, offensively and defensively, throughout the night. Yeah, what have you seen from them, and how have they evolved throughout this series?
Well, they took a good punch. Derek White came out really hot, and honestly, in that first quarter, they could have got their doors blown off, but they hung in there and they kept hooping. And when they did that, I knew this was going to be a game. This was going to be one of those ones that goes down to 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, and now we're talking about who can execute better, down the stretch. I just want to clarify when I say Jayson Tatum shot him out of the game. I mean, he made some of those shots, and he had 42. He made some huge shots, but you have to when you've stopped the ball moving in the way that he did. So, like, you got to score 50 then because the ball stopped moving, right? It was just him handling it, just searching for that pick and roll, and then you're going to shoot that deep jumper. What I saw from the Knicks was Brunson applied more pressure. Brunson did the same thing. They shot about the same amount of shots. I mean, he had 39. The ball was in his hands a lot, but Ty again was sitting next to me, and there was a play late in the game, and we had watched Tatum a few times. And Brunson had it on the right wing, maybe, if you will, and he was like tween, and you could tell he was setting his man up, and then he quickly like laced it to the corner real quick, and somebody hit a three. And Ty said to me, he's like, yeah, I like that because he was looking to cook. He was like, but he realized he had taken too many dribbles, and so he just sprayed it. And he was doing that better than Tatum was doing it. He was getting to his bag, getting his shots because he's the guy that makes that go, but also figuring out ways if it was two ball monopolizing to just get off of it and give someone else a quick opportunity. Those guys, when they had those opportunities, made the most of them. Yeah. Tough shots. Dudes were making tough knockdown shots. Anunoby, why I get all these names mixed up, man? But his Villanova teammate.
Miles Bridges.
Yeah, Bridges
Mikal.
on those tough Mikal,
bro, those fucking
fades, and like those guys made the most of those opportunities. And then you have Josh Hart and those guys just digging out extra possessions, digging out loose balls, like doing what they do to supplement it. And so look, that it wasn't all on Tatum, but the Celtics and Tatum, when Tatum got hot, all ball movement stopped. It became that. And the rest of those guys didn't play off of that well. Maybe that's a Tatum issue. Maybe that's a them issue. But the combination of the two they became really stagnant and one shot at the rim and we're out. Where the Knicks became in attack mode. And here's the other part. Brunson, it's really crazy for the stature, the size, and the athleticism. You'd give all of those to Jayson Tatum, right?
Absolutely.
You give all of those. He checks every one of those boxes in a way that Jayson Tatum doesn't check. But Jalen Brunson was making his money in the paint as much as he was making it at the three-point line. And that collapses the defense, that forces rotations, that allows a body defensively to have to react to that, which gives his man on offense an opportunity to swoop in an offensive rebound. And Jayson Tatum wasn't putting any pressure on their defense like that. He was just making phenomenal 25 to 30-foot shots.
Bro, well, we'll give you that shit. It's cool, especially a Knicks type of defense who predicates itself on physicality, on you're not going to get any easy buckets, and you're going to have to earn this shit. If you're doing step backs, who gives a shit? Those are hard shots to make.
Logan, I swear, as soon as he got hot, I looked and I said, this is going to be a problem. Because this is what they're going to do. Now he's hot, and this is the shot he's going to live with for the rest of the night. Where the Knicks just kept hooping at your rim, on top of the rim, midi, make you work defensive. Like they just had a variety of offense that allowed everybody to get involved. And they executed better down the stretch. They do that, though. Like, this is what we said. If you get into a street fight with them and you take it down into the fourth quarter late, and it's about who's going to close better and who's going to operate in the clutch better, they're going to beat you.
That's the thing. I told you this, Roger, last episode, and that's my thing with the Celtics, man. They're just too finesse, and they are always susceptible to getting punched in the face and not necessarily responding. And one thing we know about the Knicks, they're going to punch you in the face. Multiple times. They are ready for the fade.
The Knicks did everything they were supposed to do, and all of those guys. I mean, Brunson had 39. I'm not looking at the stats, but I think everybody else in the starting lineup had over 20 except for Josh Hart. They were hooping. I'm giving them
Josh
credit.
Hart used them fouls too, didn't he? He used the fucking fouls. That was his stats for the night.
I'm still telling you, there was an avenue before Tatum got hot and they stopped moving the ball there was an avenue for this to be 2-2 going back to Boston. It was as clear as day. It was sitting right in front of anybody who knows hoops. It was right there. Knicks fans couldn't see it, but anybody who knows hoops saw it. It was right there, and they just wouldn't take it.
What percentage of Roger right now is a Knicks fan? Because I know you got a lot of Knicks fans in your family. Like, are you like 5% right now?
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of anybody. It's hard for me to be a basketball fan, so I can't. I like the Knicks story. I will ride with the Knicks. Yeah, I like them, but I'm not a fan of anybody.
Also, shout out to Neff Ty for making his papa proud over here, saying, they should have just did this, Dad. They should have. What the hell are they doing?
No, those are good moments, man. I enjoy those.
All right, it's time for a motherfucking mailbag. Cliff, how you doing, buddy? Congrats on the number 3 pick. Could have been much, 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 much worse. Man,
I'm just happy. I had to challenge Howard's theory on, to debunk whether the ping pong balls went the right way. Although Howard was in the room, so, I got to respect that, OG. I got to respect it. But let's get to this first question here. This is from Kevin Nye, depressed Cavs fan. Logan, Raja, Howard, Cliff, Victoria, and all. First time, long time. As a lifelong Cleveland sports fan, my mind is headed to a dark, albeit quite familiar place. Assuming the Cavs lose tonight, May 13th, what the hell are the Cavs' options for getting better and legitimately competing for a title? I know that Mobley and Garland are super young and most likely continue to get better, but it seems kind of silly to run it back with a team that potentially hasn't made it past the second round in 3 years, especially when you consider how expensive this team is about to become and how they might lose key role players like Ty Jerome, Dean Wade, and Sam Merrill because of the salary cap this summer. Is it insane to start thinking about the Cavs could get for Allen and Garland, and hoping they retool around Mitchell and Mobley? Did I play around to see if trading Garland and Strus for Giannis and the NBA trade machine this morning? Possibly. Am I overreacting? Do I need to be more patient and enjoy the ride? Thank you guys for providing the most immaculate banter all season long. Thanks. Kev from Hudson Valley.
Thanks,
LeBron
buddy.
James.
What age LeBron James? Which
LeBron James.
This older, this version?
Man. Yeah, man. I heard it somewhere. Somebody said it. I was listening to the radio yesterday. They were like, he comes back and takes the minimum and does it in Cleveland.
Everybody
what a story.
wins.
Does
Everybody
he bring Bronny,
wins.
though? Does he bring Bronny?
He has to.
Bronny. I mean, Bronny got to play. Like, Bron's not
Let
fucking
Bronny
around
cook.
with that. Like, Bronny's got to
Wait,
play.
Roger, are you saying the league fixed something? What's going on here? What we
Whoa!
I said, what?
Huh? What? This sounds. Honestly, this sounds like a Howard question to answer. I just say, I don't know. What's this?
No, I'm curious. Raj,
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah,
just because what are you seeing in this series where, like, if you've got a 64-win team with those 4 guys and suddenly they're just, like, completely imploding, like, and I know there's some injuries involved here too, but still, like, what are you seeing?
This is a tough one. This is a really tough one because of the injuries and the wiggle room that gives you in that mental space of like, maybe we were like, it's tough. And you were so good and you were prolific through a regular season. It's really tough. I would bet that they don't make a move to do anything. I think that they would run it back. I would not mind exploring Garland and someone. I like Allen, but no, I don't like. I like Mobley. Like, I would explore some things. I would try my best to hold on to like the 3 of them, being Mobley, Allen, and
Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know. What do I get back if I give up Mobley or yeah, I don't know, man. My names are terrible, but I think I would probably explore making a deal. I think they stay put though, Howard.
So the thing is, from the moment that they traded for Donovan Mitchell, and from the moment it was clear that, like, the young guys, meaning Mobley and Garland, were definitely on the trajectory that you hoped they'd be on, which is to become stars. Like, you can't have 3 max players. Plus, Jared Allen, I think he's sub max, but he's still making a lot. The clock is ticking on them, just as it was ticking on the Timberwolves and why they had to trade Cat, just as it's ticking on the Celtics, as we have already discussed. This CBA makes it incredibly difficult to keep a bunch of high-level talent together. It's the whole point of it. It's what the league wants. They want talent distributed across the league. That's how we get this incredible era of parity. And so the clock is ticking on the Cavaliers, even if they were up in this series, even if they went to the finals, the clock is ticking from a financial standpoint, and they know that. Kobe Altman and those guys are really smart. They know that. They know that their best case scenario is to win while you can still do it without luxury tax, repeater tax, second apron, all that kicking in. Now, if you lose, ownership's always going to be much less willing to pay luxury taxes anyway. And also, you have to then reconsider, well, if we don't have the right combination and we're going to start getting hamstrung by second apron limitations, maybe we should proactively get out of that before we have to put ourselves in that position. So losing maybe clarifies it or speeds things up. I hate to say that. And then it's difficult too, right? Like, all right, Donovan Mitchell is the bigger of the two stars in the backcourt, but he's also the older of the two. Garland is awesome, and I'd be really reluctant to give up on him. Evan Mobley is showing signs of being incredibly awesome and a two-way player, and is a really rare kind of commodity, the size and the length and the athleticism and everything, all that he can do. But, something's got to give. I don't think you can keep all four for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So at some point you got to peel somebody off and figure out what the right, the right return on that is, the better return. And yeah, now that you're down in a series 3-1 after winning 64 games and everything else, like, you do have to consider whether the best upside is for the postseason is a different combination. I don't know. It's tough. I wish I could tell our listener something more uplifting and positive than that. But the good news is this. You had a team that was good enough to win 64 games with 4 really, really good players. And even if you have to retool, it's probably only one of them going out the door, and you're still going to have the other 3, and you're going to get some good stuff back. Like, you're in great shape regardless. That's the upside here.
No doubt. I'll just say this again. The one thing I do know is that those injuries, they make it really difficult because they cloud. It makes it hard to see exactly what's going on. If you needed an out, if you wanted an out, anyone in the room, you could be like, yeah, but much more clearer view of that if you were playing healthy.
All right, next question. This is from Ziad Ahmad Parker. Hi, guys. You're all awesome. The intro is an all-time favorite of mine. Anyways, my question is about Giannis. What position does he play going forward? And give me the 3 best teams for him if he gets traded from the Bucks. Kind regards.
What position does he play? Like, what does he play on the floor?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's what he said. What position?
He plays whatever the hell position he wants to play. He's fucking Giannis Antetokounmpo. He plays. He plays Giannis ball. It doesn't matter what he's going to do. He's going to have the ball in his head. He's going to play point sometimes. He's going to play in the post. Like, he's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
The real question is the 3 best teams, though. I think he just added that in there.
For sure. Houston obviously is in there. If they can, with their young core, they're not going to trade Amen, obviously, but Houston seems like a really intriguing place. Especially if they can get Jalen Green out of there. San Antonio, maybe. They have assets, but I don't know if they can make a deal because they just have a lot of players on rookie deals, so I don't even know how they can even get that return.
They got some guys making like close to 20 mil.
Okay.
But they can make it shake.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say Houston, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, who might not get out of this series, as a front court guy, and Chet Holmgren that is catting off in the clutch. They could be a player too. They have a whole bunch of picks. They have a whole bunch of assets that they can give Milwaukee. So those 3, I would say San Antonio, Houston, and Oklahoma City.
Go ahead, Howard.
I think that's the right list. I think what's really gotten interesting here is that a team like San Antonio now has that number 2 overall pick to play with too in any potential trades. And when I was thinking about this earlier today, like, if you're the Rockets and you go into a Giannis trade discussion, Amen's off the table. You can have Jalen Green, you can have Şengün even, you can have Tyrese and whatever, but Amen's off the table. Now that the Spurs have this new trade chip, the Bucks are in a great position to be able to like play teams off each other too, because they're like, oh well, San Antonio is going to give us the number 2 pick in the draft and Stephon Castle. You know what I mean? Like, it changes the marketplace a little bit. And this is a theoretical marketplace, right? We are assuming who's going to be in pursuit. We're assuming that Giannis has asked out. We're assuming that the Bucks are willing to do it. We're assuming that Giannis has not already.
He's slow pushing it, though. He's slow pushing it.
He is. He is. But like, a lot of stuff still has to happen. And some of the things that we don't know for sure is Giannis going to say, but only these 3 teams? Or, and what does Milwaukee want out of a deal too? Because even once Giannis provides a list, if he provides a list, then Milwaukee, it's like, does Milwaukee want players who can keep them afloat right now so they don't bottom out? Because they have no incentive to tank. They don't have their picks. So if they want players, that's different, because there are teams that only have players to deal and don't have picks to deal. There are other teams that could just give you a shit ton of picks. Like the Nets have a lot of picks they could trade the Bucks. But if the Bucks fall off a cliff and they're sending lottery picks to everywhere across the league because they don't have control over their picks for the next 3-4 years, that's kind of painful. So, like, we don't know what Milwaukee wants. We don't know where Giannis wants to go, and if that is going to limit how the negotiation process. So, but yeah, Houston for sure, San Antonio for sure. I proposed Atlanta when we did this exercise a week or two ago at theringer.com. The Hawks have interesting pieces they can move, but I don't know there's too many others, right? Like, people are going to throw out the Lakers. The Lakers can't make that deal. I don't think the Clippers can make that deal. I don't think the Warriors can make that deal. The Knicks theoretically could, but they don't have picks to add to the players. The Nets could, but they have more picks than players. And if you traded the players, then what's Giannis playing with if Claxton and Cam Johnson aren't there anymore? So I don't think it's a very long list.
I don't think the Nets have the talent requisite to give Giannis what he wants anyway. So
no, if the whole point of asking
anyway.
If Giannis has gotten to the point where it's like, I got to get out of here because we don't have a championship window anymore, you can't go to a team that also does not have a championship window and doesn't have the requisite supporting players unless they have another path to get there quickly. Yeah. There's no time.
What about wild card? I'm just throwing this out there. I don't even know. Toronto, maybe? I don't even know. Do they have they only have Scotty Barnes. They have the same thing. They have the talent gap as well. Like, they're not.
Yeah, what do you get? You're getting RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and I don't know, like, because you're not going to Ingram. Like, you don't want to send out Scotty Barnes in that deal, right?
Yeah. Although I'm not as high on Scotty Barnes as a lot of people, man.
And if they were off of him, like, does Giannis plus all the guys who are left over, is that good enough? I don't know.
No, probably not. Okay, last question.
And be for honest, who says no? Real quick.
The Bucks. Bye. Bye.
And beating that number 3 pick for Giannis. Who says no? This is titled Playoff Scars. This is from Howard Beck's burner account, Doug Beck. Still no relation to Howard, but a big fan. Your colleague Chris Vernon loves to talk about young teams needing playoff scars. I believe the Thunder got some scars last year and then got one early this season by getting blown out by the Bucks in the Emirates Cup. We saw a pretty crazy leap in the playoffs for the Pacers last year after they made the in-season tournament final. They look to be making a return trip this year. Do we think the Emirates Cup scars are actually helping younger teams in the playoffs, helping them accelerate their learning curve? Thanks, Doug, a.k.a. Howard.
I think it helped based on where the Pacers were at that time. I definitely think the Cup helped them. I think that the OKC just got Vegas. They didn't. I don't think you put any more stock into that Cup than that. But I do think that the Cup can be good for a young team up and coming. Like, last year, no one was expecting Indiana to go to the postseason before that Cup, and I think it gave them really good experience in terms of games that matter to a certain extent and playing in front of a large audience. Because I don't even think they had national television games going up before that. And it kind of just brought them to a national stage and taught them how to win on a national stage very early and showed the world that, we're a factor here. But OKC, I don't think it really had any effect on them whatsoever. I think that they got Vegas.
As president of the NBA Cup Doesn't Matter Club, I'm not going to put a ton of stock in battle scars from a game in mid-December that meant nothing. But I do think that the attention paid to those games, the way that they're marketed, the way that it's built up, the hype machine creates an atmosphere that makes it feel bigger. So therefore, emotionally, it is bigger. So it's not nothing. Are
they gonna even have it next year? Have they even made a decision on that or where it's gonna be? They've just felt like they've given up on it after 2 years.
I don't think they've given up on it. They've given up on All-Star Weekend. They're gonna trash the whole thing and start from scratch again, I think. But I don't know. Yeah, no, I think the NBA Cup is here for a while at least, and probably to stay. But no, I mean, I think the more important battle scars are the ones you get at times like now. Like if the Thunder lose this series, they'll walk away feeling something, hopefully learning something. If they win this series, like these are the ones that matter. Like having to beat a team 4 out of 7 times in the spring is just different. Whatever stock we want to place in the cup, it's just different in the spring.
Thoughts, Raja?
Nope.
Okay. Retweet. Do we have another question? Or is that it?
Nah, that was it.
Nope,
That's the ones I sent. Yeah, that was the last one from Howard's burner account.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I set myself up with a cup question just so I could grab one.
Just so you could go off on the cup.
Dude,
I love it.
Threw the alley-oop to himself. All right.
I learned that from Jamal Crawford.
Hey, it's not enough. All right. Anyway, that has been another edition of Real Ones. Roger's checked out. Howard is kind of still here. I'm very tired. That was realonesmailbag@gmail.com. 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 We do this every single time that me, Howard, and Raja are on the program together. So you never know when that's going to happen. But
just Howard Schnellenberger? Did you just program it?
I did.
Programmed it. All right.
All day, baby. All day, baby.
Hey, Raj, we got a scholarship for Ty, too, by the way.
Hey, no, by the way, hold on real quick before we go. Sorry, real quick. This motherfucker Cliff sits in the group chat about, and this was his recruiting pitch, by the way, from Temple.
It was not a recruiting pitch. This is a random Instagram post.
So anyway, there was an Instagram post, right, from Temple at this apparently there's a famous McDonald's on campus where motherfuckers be having talent shows and a whole bunch of stuff. And he's like, this is what Ty is going to, the tradition that Ty is going to be a part of. This is what we got to get him up in there.
Cliff,
as Victoria said, we
need to get Victoria on here to validate. I just said absolutely none of that. Logan is lying.
Victoria saw it too and said, very ghetto, 1 out of 10 McDonald's. This is the environment that Cliff wants Ty to go into, by the way, Raja. Just saying. Hey, I'm just saying.
I was a big fan of Temple coming out. I'm on record. John Chaney,
Dawn Staley, legends.
Yeah.
Eddie Jones, Aaron McKee, you know what I'm saying?
That Eddie's just from around the way. I played golf with Eddie, man.
Mark Macon.
Everybody.
God.
Mark Macon was so cold. Yeah, I was a big fan. The 6 a.m.s, though, the 6 a.m.s got me.
Mm-hmm. All right. realonesmailbag@gmail.com, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys, me, Howard, and potentially a special guest on Friday. Tapping all the shits. Bye. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. And 18 and older and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.